Although some people in the early colonies saw Britain as an impeccable foreign foe set on destroying American freedoms and and dedicated to enslaving Americans, in Britain, the war was thought of as a civil war until America sided with France, who were also their enemies. Many even in Britain had at one point thought their cause as noble, as noble, and a plea to return to an older form of government. There were many events leading up to the American Revolution. These events started with the Great Revolution. Next was the forming of the English Bill of Rights in 1689, followed by an attempted Jacobite assassination in 1696. Soon after the 1701 Act of Settlement, only Protestants could be king in England. This was quickly followed by the reign of Queen Anne, 1702 to 1714, who united England and Scotland. When she died, the House of Hanover took over. This followed by the reign of George II, 1727 to 1760, who was attempted to be conquered by the Jacobite Rebellion of 1745. However, the inciting incident was at the end of the 7 Years' War in 1763, when America was forced to pay some of the cost of the war because they had started it. Crazy, I know. Britain also got a lot more land and people, too. This led to the Acadian resettlement. The reasoning was, according to George III, it was essential that the several tribes of Indian were protected by England, were not molested or disturbed. They didn't care as much about the French who lived there, and they were moved to New Orleans. But King George III later turned to Toryism. This led to Catholicism being allowed again, which many disliked. Many Americans saw this as one of George III's more executive roles, and the overall rise of these as harkening back to the absolutism of previous kings. Part of the reason that many saw it as a plea to return to an older form of government was this was also happening in England at the same time. For example, the Voting Rights of 1780 began as simply anti-Catholic protests. In 1698, an act was signed that imposed penalties on Roman Catholics in England. Many didn't like the repeal of this, so it was initially a peaceful movement, but it turned to widespread rioting and looting in London. To many observers in England, says Catherine O'Donnell, the American Revolution emerged from a similar source. Even both right and left-wing Whigs agreed King George III had made a terrible decision to take so much control of America so quickly without notice. Because many in Britain agreed in America, they thought they were allies. But when America sided with France, they felt backstabbed. Although they cherished their freedoms, they could not feel sympathy for France. The entry of France into the war proved a key turning point in the conflict, says Kennedy Hickman, and French supplies were vital to America's success. Many Whigs in Britain also blamed King George III when they lost in his Toryism for their failure. At the end of the end of the 7 Years' War, Britain had splendor and respect. Then when they lost to the French, who they had just won to, many colonies around the world were in danger. And the reasoning is that it was the Tories took over King George III. Thank you.